What's up, guys? Techmaster back with another video. So today we're going to be talking about the iPhone 15 and seeing how it holds up a year later. So I've had this phone for a year. I got it November 17th of 2023, like 2 months after it came out. And yeah, I want to see how everything holds up. So yeah, we have a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR display. We have a dynamic island on the front. I am on iOS 18, obviously. We have 60 hertz refresh rate, which I think is okay unless you're used to 120 hertz. But yeah, overall, it's still really good. We have a 48 megapixel in the back camera, and we have a frosted glass. And I cannot tell you how many good pictures I've taken on these phones. These nighttime photos are like crazy, crazy good. This is probably like the best photo I took. It's at my school in it was October 22nd, but yeah, these colors are crazy good. I know the camera's not really showing it as well because this is a not as good of a camera, but anyway, we have a lot of good photos. Also, like I have these beautiful Northern Lights photos I saw that were in Massachusetts and stuff. Really, really, really nice. Really, really beautiful. But yeah, so yeah. But this camera's really good. We also have, the other like cinematic video, which I haven't really used, but I do plan on using it more. And there's just some other camera features that are really good. We have like action mode. So yeah, overall an action mode, which this basically allows you to like move around and it gets really good photo quality. If you watch Apple's event, you'll be able to tell about that. But yeah, so this phone's been holding up really well. We have a A16 Bionic chip in here, 6 gigabytes of RAM. So it's pretty efficient. If we open up like weather, it's still pretty good. It's not perfect. Like the A18 is definitely better, but obviously in the iPhone 16. But clearly this chip is more than good enough, and it's very, very powerful, and it still will get a bunch of updates and stuff, software updates and stuff. So yeah, clearly on the outside that's good. Now talking about the battery life, this has actually been a little bit of a disappointment, but it's totally okay for the most part. So my battery capacity is at 93% after a year. And I know most people are talking about I've used 140 charge cycles. I don't charge my phone regularly, so I think that might have been why. But there's also a couple other things. I've been in really hot conditions. I've been data roaming. I went to Europe this summer. I also, this phone, when I use Snapchat, it can sometimes heat up for like an hour and a half. My phone didn't cool off for 2 hours sometimes. So I think overall, long term power exposure, heat exposure, charging on flights and stuff. So I can understand. Yes, I don't charge it regularly, but I know most people are saying, as I said, that I've only had this phone for a few months. Definitely not. You can go back and watch my older videos. But yeah, so like this battery's it's dropped a good amount, but most people with more charge cycles and more term like effects have had this kind of battery health drop. So I'm not totally complaining. My battery's not amazing, but with that said, it still gets me through the day, unlike my other 12, which didn't have that. Like I could not get through the day when my battery reached this amount on my iPhone 12. It would just die in a couple hours. But this one, because the battery's so much bigger, it's over 3,300 milliamp hours, and it's a thicker phone, so it can definitely still get me through the day and stuff. So I'm not complaining. Again, it's not amazing, and plus, my contract's over next year for T-Mobile, so I can update this phone if I need to, if the battery starts to get even worse. But yeah, as I was saying, you can go back and watch my videos. I've had this phone for a year. I just don't charge it regularly. Like sometimes I might um like keep it plugged in one day, which isn't really good for the battery, to be honest. But again, I there are other factors. I've been in Europe. I've been in long-term heat exposures, and this phone does suffer from overheating. Not as much as my old phone. My other phone, oh my god, it literally burned to like 100 and something degrees. But this one, it just will stop charging if you're using it while on like a plane or something. But overall, like the battery's still pretty good. But as finishing what I was saying, like I so there's some days I wouldn't plug it in, or I might let it drop to like 50%. But yeah, I didn't use every single charge cycle because like I feel I couldn't really kill it. And there were some days when I got it, I couldn't even kill it. Like the battery on this phone is really good. And yeah. Now I could clearly kill this device, but because the battery's a year old, but anyway, 93%. It's not great, as I said, but it's still more than good enough. The battery life, and next year if I update my phone, I won't even have to worry because this chip is really efficient. So if I'm not doing anything super demanding, like this phone can still last. Um, Obviously, if I'm on high like 5G connection and stuff, then it'll drain faster. But yeah, at my school it lasts all day versus my other phone would last like 3 hours, so it's fine for me. Now, and I also really like the really bright display, like the 2000 nits dynamic island brightness, because this is what I really like, because if I'm outside, I can just see it better and stuff. So yes, it's not good, it'll drain more battery, but in like my old phone was 600 nits of brightness, and so that was not bright enough for me to view it outside, and then I had to turn it up and crank up, and it would destroy the battery. In like a couple hours, really annoying. This phone, and I'll just sum up this video. This phone has been really an incredible tool for me. I mean, this phone pretty much fixed all the problems I had with my iPhone 12. Overheating, battery life, the screen, the camera. Like this phone, basically USB-C. This phone pretty much fixed everything, all the problems with the iPhone 12. And it's a 3-generation update. So if you guys want to have an iPhone 12 from like 4 years ago and you don't really want to get the 16, then, and there's some issues that you're having, just go for this 15. Even $699 from Apple is actually a decent price, and you can buy it even cheaper. I've seen them for like $550 on Amazon or something, or like maybe like $570, but they're like under 600 sometimes. Most of the time you won't find it. You'll find it for over 600. So in that case, you might as well just buy it from Apple. But again, compared to the iPhone 14, the regular one, like this is still a much better phone in almost every single way. So don't buy like a 14 just because you want to like save more cash. Get this phone if you don't want the 16. The 16 is clearly better, but it's not much better. It's still 60 hertz. You have a very similar battery life, camera, and yes, the chip is a little bit better, but not much. The only benefit of getting the 16 would be slightly better camera, better thermals, and then also you have 8 gigs of RAM. This phone has 6, which is still fine for iOS. You don't need 8 gigs of RAM on an iPhone. If you're on like a Mac or iPad, clearly you need more RAM because you're going to be pushing that. But for me, like I'm fine with 6 gigs. I don't see apps closing really that much. But yeah, 6 gigs of RAM is more than enough. It's in my opinion, it's actually like the standard, because that's 4 gigs is starting to kind of become like a little bit lower, and then things close more often. But yeah, so yeah, I think 6 gigs is good for most iOS apps, and just in general to have 6 gigs. But yeah, anyway, guys, overall, I've definitely been liking this phone. It's been really good, really useful tool for me. And yeah, overall, definitely a really an incredible phone. Besides it not having 120 hertz, really good performing phone, really good camera, great battery life. Like everything in this phone has been really good, and this is definitely the best phone I've owned. So yeah, to put it simply, this phone's been great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.